money audit into first phase of $2 billion Sino-Hydro infrastructure deal shows $4 million savings, but the minority is questioning the credibility of the audit.
Yeah, I'm doubting the credibility because it's not signed by an individual. In a consultancy, everything that goes out must be in the name of somebody who supervised it.
As the president inaugurates the Sino-Hydro project with the cutting of sword for the construction of the first ever interchange in the northern region, we examine the value for money audit and interrogate the minority's concerns.
This is Top Story with Evans Mensah.
Top Story is always brought to you by Bond Savings and Loans. Your success, our passion. Gasem, the nation builder. Vodafone, the future is exciting, ready, and nationwide medical health insurance. Your healthcare family. Now, President Akufo-Addo today called the bluff of the NDC minority in Parliament and went ahead to inaugurate the controversial $2 billion Sino-Hydro project with a cutting of sword to build the first ever interchange in the northern region. Now, government is undertaking what it describes as the most dramatic change in the country's infrastructure for the next 30 months. Now, ahead of today's event, the minority in Parliament had questioned the lack of a value for money audit and demanded a suspension of the inauguration of the project. Well, today, government has released a copy of a value for money audit questioning the basis of the minority's claims. We have been scrutinizing that audit details, and as the minority also already dismissing this particular audit, questioning its credibility. We'll bring you details of what we found shortly and interrogate the minority's claims, as we've been joined on the telephone line already by the minority spokesperson on the relevant road and infrastructure committee, Mr. Agboja. But first, listen to the president as he cut sword in Tamale today for the interchange.
Government is also ensuring that in accordance with the domestic content law, a minimum of 30% of works will be undertaken by Ghanaian contractors and supervised by Ghanaian consultants. Thousands and thousands of jobs will be created for our youth. Our country will be opened up for sustained growth and development, and thereby help put Ghana onto the path of progress and prosperity. I am excited about the prospects of this project for our nation, and I urge the Ministry of Roads and Highways and its implementation agencies to ensure that adequate and proper supervision is given to all the works being undertaken, guarantee that the country gets value for money, and ensure strict adherence to completion dates. Let me also stress that my government and I will not countenance any delays in the execution and delivery of the various infrastructural projects. 30 months is 30 months.
So that is the president speaking at the cutting of sword for the commencement of work on that Tamale interchange. Well, just yesterday, before today's event, the minority in Parliament had raised questions about the entire Sino-Hydro project, which is a $2 billion project, and they had questioned the absence of two documents: one, a value for money audit, and two, a document that details the advice of the Attorney General. Well, today the Information Minister addressed a press conference and addressed the question about the lack of the value for money audit. Listen to Kojo Ponkruma.
There is no rule that a value for money audit is a prerequisite for parliamentary approval. It has never been the case. There are two agreements that always go to Parliament. There's the financing agreement, which talks about the terms of the financial arrangements for a particular transaction. And then there is usually the technical agreement, which deals with the technical specifications of a particular project. The technical agreement will go to the committee responsible. If it's roads, it will go to the roads subcommittee. And value for money has never been a prerequisite, and that's why Parliament was able to go ahead and give parliamentary approval. If, however, Parliament requires a value for money audit, Parliament will request for it subsequently. There is a value for money audit report that has been prepared by, I think, the Ghana Institute of Surveyors. It's been submitted to the Roads Ministry, which spells out the various areas of potential risk and gives a specification on it. So it is not true that there's no value for money audit. There is a value for money audit, which is available. I've cited it myself.
We'll be scrutinizing that value for money audit because you've seen a copy very shortly. We'll also be speaking shortly with the ranking member on the Transport Committee in Parliament who speaks for the minority, Kwame Agboja, who joins us on the line right now. Mr. Agboja, thank you for your time here on Top Story.
Good afternoon, Evans, and good afternoon to your cherished listeners.
Yes. Before I come to you, though, Mr. Oponkruma, also today address your second concern, which is a lack of the a document detailing the advice of the Attorney General. Listen to what he said.
Secondly, the Attorney General is involved ab initio whenever an agreement is being signed. So before the agreement comes to Parliament, the Attorney General is involved and has cited it and has made whatever recommendations, whatever opinion is required before it goes to Cabinet for approval and then comes to Parliament for subsequent approval. It is not after the fact that Parliament has given approval, then you say that there's no advice from the Attorney General or there's no value for money. I think it's becoming obvious that our friends in the minority really do not desire the Sino-Hydro transaction to go for it, because every step of the way they have sought to put an impediment in our way, whether it's about not participating in the vote in Parliament or writing to the IMF or now raising these questions about value for money or the AG's advice. These are non-issues. I think for us, we're happy that we've been successful in coming this far.
So that is Information Minister there, and as I said, we've secured a copy of that value for money audit, and I want to quickly go through some of the key things for you to note. This particular value for money audit, first of all, has to do with, and the title of it is Construction Rehabilitation of Selected Roads and Interchanges in Ghana, Phase 1, Lot 1, Accra Inner City Roads. So that is very specific to Accra Inner City Roads. Now, key also for you to observe here is that the inner city roads concerned are a total of 5 broadly. So the project includes selected roads in the following communities: Trobo, Teshi, Dome Kwabenya, Santel, Nanakrom, and Anyaso Tom. And if you look at the specifics, there are several roads within these 5 communities that will be fixed with this particular face of the Sino-Hydro project. And let's go to the main issue that the value for money audit deals with, I guess, which is the most controversial issue about the contract sum for this particular one, which deals with the Accra Inner City Roads. Now, the contract sum for this is $72.8 million. Now, if you put it within the context of the bigger Sino-Hydro project, which is a $2 billion project, this is really a drop in the ocean. But this is what the value for money audit has been released today by the government covers. It covers just this aspect of it, which the contract sum of $72.8 million. Now, if you read and this was done, by the way, by the Ghana Institution of Surveyors, and I'll go through for you quickly what they indeed found and when they got the go-ahead to work on this particular document. But the thing to note about the cost, though, is that they found that, and I'm going to quote here, it says, based on the document submitted to the the bill of quantities, for example, and on our estimated fair market price, the total contract price of $72.8 million is approximately $4.3 million lower than the estimated fair market price. And so they go ahead to say that this is a good deal because as far as the estimation is concerned, what the quote to cover the roads that have been mentioned here is $4.3 million lower than the estimated fair market price. However, they have some concerns, though, and they note that in order to mitigate any potentially significant level of risk to the employer, the recommendations made should be addressed with a supplementary contract agreement since the contract agreement has already been signed. So it actually confirms the concern that was raised that the contract was signed before this particular value for money audit was completed. But if you read the value for money audit, the auditors themselves agree that the risk factors they have assessed are all low, and they have 3 thresholds: so the high, medium, and low. And within the low bracket, they say it is unlikely to expose the employer to a significant level of risk. And so they assess that all the risk factors were low. And so indeed the deal could have been signed, Parliament approved of it, and yet amended with, as he says, a supplementary contract agreement, which is what they have really recommended. But there's a key point to note about the date this was done. This is dated April 2019. Consider the fact that we're only 10 days into April. This is really recent. The last 10 days has happened. And in fact, if you read the document, it shows that there was a delay because the Ministry of Roads and Highways, by a letter dated 17 December 2018, requested for this value for money audit to be done, analysis to be done, right? This is 17 December. Now, if you read the audit, it says that preparation for this report has been delayed a bit due to confirmation of correspondence and scheduling. The assignment commenced in earnest when all confirmations were made based on priority levels advised by the Ministry of Roads and Highways. So there was a delay, although it was instructed and ordered on December 7, 2018. Delays happened, and that's the explanation why they only got the audit in April, long after the deal had been approved, by the way. But the minority has concerns. Mr. Agboja, what exactly is your concern with this? I mean, if you go to the bottom line, which is the price is good, is lower than the estimated fair market price, that's many people will say, and the report concludes, good deal, go ahead. But you say you have concerns still.
No, Evans. I hope I have enough time to break it down for you. First of all,
please go ahead.
I thank you for the opportunity to explain this. What you are reading, in fact, you will notice that we have 10 different lots. In fact, it's not even 2 billion. The road sector one is just about $600 million. What you are reading popped up on the social media last night, and it's about the Accra City Road. You would have been asking, how come they are cutting salt for Tamale interchange, and they are flaunting a value for money for Accra Inner City Road? Shouldn't they actually be sending out the one for Tamale Road? Look, this is just a camouflage. Let me tell you why it is. And then this afternoon, I noticed that the communicators for the government are trying to pitch me against Ghana Institute of Surveyors, saying that I said they are not qualified. What I said is this, and let's get this clear. Under normal circumstances, and I want to disagree with Honorable Ponkruma, and it's quite telling that NPP will say that it is not a requirement anywhere that when a sole source agreement like a supply credit like this kind of parliament, a value for money is not a requirement. I disagree entirely with him. It has always been the case. I can cite examples of a Ridge Hospital. When we were in government, I was a committee that looked at it. We rejected it, saying that they should go for a better value for money. And as you may, if you recall, we made $6 million savings on Ridge Hospital, which was part of the project. So this is not even an issue of politics. Secondly, so I debunk the fact that it's not a requirement. It is a requirement. And the second thing is about the fact that there was a legal opinion. In fact, it was admitted by the ministry at the committee that they didn't have value for money, and which the paragraph 8.7 of the committee's report, they said they were going to do that to the Ministry of Finance. And the legal requirement, they said they were going to complain, they were going to get that sorted out. So those two things that he said it never happened, actually, if you check his record, happened. Let me tell you why this is a problem. Under normal circumstances in our country, there are established organizations that carry out value for money on behalf of government. A significant one is a Crown Agent. I'm not saying they are the only ones. We've never used Ghana Institute of Surveyors as a value for money auditing firm as far as Parliament is concerned. I am not saying surveyors at the Ghana Institute of Surveyors are not capable of doing it, but I am not aware that they are people who actually do this. And secondly, if you look at the report you are reading, that report should have been signed by an individual, because when you take this into a consultancy, somebody must be the one who is a lead consultant or actually who dealt with it. So the report you are reading actually is one of the 10 laws, which I actually believe is being bandied around simply because that one appears to them as if it's a good one. But you know there's one in the information minister's constituency where, for instance, an acquisition of land for a contracted site compound alone cost $700,000. We want to see those details. And I'm saying that the only reason the government is running away from independent value for money auditing firm is because they would expose them. That is why they are going this route. Otherwise, let them show us the value for money audit for the 10 lots, and let's interrogate them. So they cannot run away from this. This project is inflated, and I'm saying that give it to an independent auditing firm, and you will see what will come out of it. For instance, I allege that under this project, a 1 kilometer road, that double seal, would cost $1.2 million, not asphaltic overlay. And this would end up being the most expensive ordinary road in this country. And I'm saying that value for money, Parliament's responsibility is to insist on value for money for every government expenditure. So if the NPP government is saying that henceforth, as long as they stay in government, that is no longer a requirement, that they can say that under their government is not a requirement. But I am aware, under the NDC, every supplies credit agreement that comes to Parliament, if they don't do value for money before they come, we make it a condition precedent. A condition precedent means that if the value for money is not completed and accepted, the project cannot commence. So this is the difference.
No, but you made a very important point. You said if it's not done, it can't commence. But does it mean the same as if it's not done, Parliament cannot consider and approve it?
No, I'm saying that if the value for money is not done, the project cannot commence. We always insist that value for money...
But can Parliament approve it?
Yes, that is what we do. We approve on condition that this project cannot commence until value for money audit is done.
But isn't that the information minister's point then? He says that there's no rule that says that Parliament cannot consider and approve a document such as Sino Hydro without a value for money audit. That's his point.
The fact is that even if that is his assertion, what we approved actually said that value for money must be done. And I send it to paragraph...
I think must be done before commencement.
Exactly. That is what is in our report. So he cannot run away from it. And I can tell you, he shouldn't mislead anybody.
You are going to quote for me the specific line in your report that says...
I don't have it here, but I know because I am quite confident. He basically says, I'm going to just paraphrase. It's not exactly what he says. It's just that the value for money issue that has been raised at the committee level, the ministry acknowledged that and said that value for money would be carried out and make a condition precedent prior to the commencement of the project. And I'm sure if your correspondent in Parliament can fish out one of that for you. So let nobody be fooled that what the information minister did today is just to pave the way for the president to save face and go and do that shortcutting. NDC is not against the building of infrastructure in this country. We just believe that it must be done with the highest level of value to our country. That is what we're talking about. So the information minister did not address the issue. It was confirmed they didn't have one before they came to Parliament. The route by which they are using now is alien to Parliament. Ghana Institute of Surveyors may now be the new value for money auditing firms in the country. Let that be said. But I'm saying that as far as I have been in Parliament, we have never used them on any value.
But you're not suggesting that. But you're not suggesting that using the Ghana Institute of Surveyors is a wrong thing to do, right?
No, I didn't say that. I'm just saying that.
But you seem to suggest that it's not enough to use them. That you should use an independent, more credible institution. But they are credible as well, are they not?
Oh no, I'm saying that when I say credible, I am not aware that. In fact, the report you read, who signed that report? You will notice that there's not a name attached to it, and I'm saying that any credible consultancy firm, in fact, it could be false document. Any credible consultancy firm that a document like that is coming out of would have been signed by a partner or a lead consultant in the firm. That document you read has no name attached to it. We only saw a website, a web address, and a telephone number.
And I must quickly confirm because I have the document in hand. I must confirm that is indeed true. It is a Ghana Institution of Surveyors, GI Secretariat, South Legon, Accra, and it has a telephone number. But that is the document that has been referenced by the Information Ministry, which is, in fact, what they have given out today to us officially as a proof of the value for money audit for this particular, as I indicated, the Accra Inner City Road. Yes.
Yeah, in Accra Inner City Road, when you are cutting salt for Tamale. So what is the value for money audit report for Tamale interchange that the president was cutting? Look, this is a well calculated. You all know Honorable Opon Nkrumah He's a maestro. He's a government steam doctor. He's calculated, he's released that particular document at dawn, and they've been throwing it up and down. But let him know he did not answer the question. We still believe, the minority still believe, this project is hyper-inflated and must be given to a credible, value for money auditing firm. If Ghana Institute of Surveyors is the preferred choice of government, let that be known. And from now, we know that Ghana Institute of Surveyors is a known value for money auditing firm, and then we take it from there. And whenever they do it, let a human being sign it so that we can take the person on, or we can get reference from the person.
We'll come to some of the specifics shortly, but I just quickly want to indicate, for the avoidance of doubt, that before now we had reached out to the government, and in fact, the Information Ministry had given us several contacts to call. None of the individuals they gave us were available to speak to this issue, and every contact that we were giving, we had called and asked them to address the issues that the minority had raised, aside the press conference which we covered, which you've heard, so that these questions that we also have will be addressed, such as if this is a $2 billion project in covering various aspects of infrastructure, where's the value for money audit covering everything as we have it? But that's what we're giving. Government is not available to comment on this as of now, and we have tried. A lot of the people that we were given to talk to say they're simply not available. I'm coming, Mr. Agboja. And so if you're not hearing government side of this conversation, it's not for want of trying. We have indeed tried, and they're simply not available to comment on this. However, Mr. Agboja, if you stick to the document that is out, we're talking about the inner city roads, which we've seen though. The $72 million project, which really for many people in Accra is relevant, and it's true. I get your point. The one about the Tamale one, where the president did today, we haven't seen that. Government is yet to release that. But if you look at this specific, you cannot argue with the findings, can you? That we are saving $4 million.
Well, that document, you see, I'm careful to document from coming from Ghana Institute of Surveyors, simply because every engineer, just like Peter, has got a registration number. If you were to do that, you could even go to Ghana Institute of Surveyors and say, we want to check whether this is actually coming from them. So I'm cautious not to refer to that document as authentic or not authentic. But the basic point we are making is that when this document came to Parliament, it did not have all the requisite ingredients to depart, because we see the document, the prices are on a high side. Indeed, in fact, the Accra City roads, a few of them are even asphaltic overlay. So why are they not releasing the other 10? And I'm saying that it's simply because they cannot stand the test of scrutiny when it comes to this. And I say that on my part, as an individual, I have done this when NDC was in government. I was one of those people who compelled the developers of a rich hospital to leave Parliament and go back and do a proper value for money and report before we approve it. And they did, and saved $6 million at the time. How come in 2019, when we are calling for the same thing to be done, and somebody says that it is not required and other things? In fact, as we speak, government has brought other bills to Parliament, agreement to Parliament, which are accompanied with value for money reports. We are going to approve some of them even tomorrow. So I don't know where the Honorable Nkuma is getting his details from. If it's just to pave the way for the president to do shortcutting today, he's done it. But we will still insist, before the contractor starts on site, we want to see a full value for money audit on that project done by a credible organization, that we can be assured that money is going to be spent in a way that benefits Ghanaians. That's what we are talking about. We did it when my government is
to the question I asked you, and to the document that you've seen, I'm asking you, based on what you've seen, and of course this is a government official document they have released, and you say this is as far as government, this is authentic, done for them. Ghana Suitable Engineers, of course, we work in the phone lines to see if we can get them to speak to this. What they've established is that as far as the inner city roads are concerned, the value for money audit clears it to go ahead with the saving. I'm asking you to comment directly on that. You cannot argue with this.
What I saw, you see, when you read value for money audit report, you need to consider everything. As of the time they came to Parliament, when I queried them, when I said this is a bit of a jargon, but you can forgive me. They told us that the DOQ they brought to Parliament is based on line diagram, which is not unusual. A line diagram says that a road between Joy FM and Parliament, we want to do the road. We don't have full detailed survey and design and costing. So we assume it may be worth this amount of money. But because it's a supplies credit kind of contract, the developer is supposed to go back and do a detailed survey and design and costing. Then the agency will now sit down and see whether the cost actually matches. Today, as we speak, I am not aware that the detailed survey, design, and costing have been done even on this job. Evans, this is a very simple thing. Government can just say that, look, okay, what the minority raise is an issue. We'll give us time, we'll address with it, and we'll move on. There's no way they can hide from these things because, you see, unfortunately, all the engineers in Ghana are not NDC or NPP. They are ordinary people. They can work out what the conversation you and I are having to see whether it has got merit or not. But for me, my consolation is that I did this even when NDC was in government and we made savings for the country. I see no reason why I should back off simply because NPP is unhappy with my intrusiveness.
So what is the minority's plan now? What do you intend to do? Clearly, government position is clear that they don't really need this to get parliamentary approval, and that it's been done. You say you need it, and clearly you're not going to get it.
I can tell you that position is untenable.
I get it. So what is it that your side plans to do about it?
Do you know what it means when Parliament gives an approval based on a condition and then you breach it? That is deception. It means that what Parliament has approved is not what you are implementing, and there are remedies that can be taken. When Parliament approves something saying that you should necessarily go and carry out detailed value for money audit before you commence, and that is not ready, and you commence, that tells me you have breached the approval given in Parliament. But if they also speak of the fact that we don't want them to build roads. Evans, I want all the roads to be done in this country by tomorrow morning. I will be the one person who will be happy. But it must be done with at the right price. That's all we're talking about. So if you ask me this question, yes, I think the government is breaching the approval given in Parliament. But guess what? I'm too small a fry to actually stop a whole government, an executive president, from cutting short. He's done it. In fact, you remember when I queried them the fact that the President Mahama cut short for Kumasi Airport Phase 2 already. They went ahead and cut the short anyway. Meanwhile, we knew the contractor was already on site. So I am not surprised that the president can say, Kwame Abuja is too small for me. I'm not going to be bothered about that. But let him be reminded, even when President Mahama was in office, we requested for a value for money on at least Ridge Hospital. They did it with net savings. So this is not about Kwame Abuja versus NPP. This is about the Parliament of Ghana insisting on doing the right thing for the people of this country. Mr.
Abuja, I'm grateful that you joined us with those thoughts. We'll be speaking to the Ghana institutional surveyors who did this particular value for money audit, just to understand whether they had received requests to do additional ones, but also their reaction to some of the concerns raised by the minority on this one as well. We also have more on this project that was inaugurated in the Tamale for you, plus the controversy that has erupted over the closed season as the Fisheries Ministry refuses to back down on the May June announcement against scientific advice. You want to stay with us for that here on News 9 in 15 in just in 1 minute or so.
This is what you've been waiting for. The internet experience you've been dreaming about. Welcome to Vodafone's Gigabit Net. Music, pictures, and large documents downloaded in seconds. Lessons from your favorite online masterclass streamed right into your bedroom. With Vodafone's Gigabit Net, it's not downloading, it's downloaded. It's not sending, it's sent. It's not buffering, it's streaming. Switch to Vodafone and get the real 4G experience on Ghana's only Gigabit network. Get 100% bonus for every daily, weekly, or monthly bundle purchase via star 700 hash. The future is exciting. Ready?
Providing knowledge and support and solutions, customer-oriented, superior.